Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the BatFrie Kenny Frie. All right. You feel it in the air. You feel it. You feel spring training starting to happen. Baseball's right around the corner. Super Bowl's over. Football, who needs it? Who the hell needs it? It's baseball time. That's what I'm talking about. I hope everybody's doing well. I mean, yesterday with Valentine's Day. Hopefully you got your significant other something nice. Hopefully you enjoyed your day with your significant other or your family. Eileen, checking in. Hi, Eileen. I couldn't tell if that was a hand, but I see it over here on the side. Hey, we're no messing around. We'll kick it off right away with our first topic, and that is, of course, pitchers and catchers reporting. Beautiful reporting. I think it was yesterday. It was either yesterday or today they're reporting. But super excited. It's just spring training games will start happening. I think February 25th. I think the Mets' first games are happening. I think their first game might even be a split squad. I'm not sure. Houston Astros and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the hell it is. It's starting soon. It's beautiful. Adam Glenn checking in. What's up? What's up, Ken? What's up, Adam? How you doing, buddy? Adam Glenn checks into every show. Like I always say, every episode, Adam Glenn, number one, buddy. You are number one. So the pitchers and catchers reporting, the rest of the team reporting, I think tomorrow or the next day. So it's going to be awesome. We have a lot of new pitchers on the team this year. Included Verlander, Jose Quintana, Kodai Senga. I mean, there's a language barrier there with him. I'm not sure how great his English is. I've heard it, but I'm sure he's been working on it. Senga, Robertson out of the bullpen, a new guy, Brooks Raleigh, Alicia Hernandez, just to name a couple. We just picked up Kunzrad. So a bunch of new names out there. So it's great to see them get out there and start working with our catchers. We also have a new catcher, Omar Narvaez. Of course, our veteran Tomas Nido, and the youngster Francisco Alvarez, who I'm really looking forward to see what he can do this spring training. Especially with the World Baseball Classic. As far as I know, last time I looked it up, he wasn't playing for anybody, and he wasn't playing for anybody in the World Baseball Classic. So that means he should be with the Mets all spring training, and working on a rapport with these pitchers. I'm not sure if Narvaez is playing with anybody. I didn't see his name. No, he is playing with Venezuela, and I believe Nido's he's going to be there also at in spring training, not playing in the World Baseball Classic. So that's good. We have Dan 4279 checking in. Go Braves. Woo! We should do an NL East episode when season gets close. Mets will be pretty good, though. Should be a fun season. Absolutely, Dan. Dan, you let me know. We'll get you on the show here. We'll have some fun with it. I'm not one for banter. We could do a little bit of banter, though. But yeah, the NL East is going to be a blast this year. I think the Marlins and the Nationals got a little bit better, but between the Phillies, Braves, Mets, it's just going to be like last season. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't know who the hell's going to come out on top, and then even when whoever does come out on top, I believe those three teams are going to make the playoffs again, and who knows who's going to go on a run, just like the Phillies did last year. So it should be a lot of fun. Dan also says, nah. I don't talk much crap ever. LOL. Uh-oh. That LOL at the end tells me otherwise. Absolutely, Dan. Reach out to me. We'll hit each other up on Messenger or something like that, and we'll discuss something. Absolutely, come on. So it's going to be awesome to see Francisco Alvarez working with like the likes of Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. A couple of the old timers, giving the young catcher some tips. Say, hey, we like this, we don't like that. Most pitchers like this, and that and the other. So it's like so many pointers and tips that you can get from the veterans on your team, especially pitcher to catcher, on how to call the game, how to frame pitches, it's stuff like that. It's a huge experience for Alvarez. It should be a huge positive experience for Alvarez, and even catching potentially behind a couple veterans like Omar Narvaez and Tomas Nido, who are both pretty decent defensive catchers. Offensively, not very much, but that's where Francisco Alvarez hopefully comes into play, where offensively his stick should be better than Nido's and Narvaez by leaps and bounds. Hopefully, who the hell knows? Once you get into the rigors of the season, especially catching is such a physically demanding job. You see, your power stats kind of take a hit a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, Alvarez does get a substantial amount of playing time behind the plate, not just at like a DH or something like that. I want to see that. I want to see the kid behind the dish this year. I don't know if he'll start off on the big league roster. You don't hear too many teams carrying 3 catchers. Narvaez and Nido being the vets and stuff like that. But again, like I said about DH, our DH was shit last year, so they could very well keep Francisco Alvarez up, to DH, get his stick going, get him plate appearances, get him at bats, and then when they stick him behind the plate, they don't have to worry, what's his stick going to look like at the plate. So, Adam Glenn said Phillies are a team to beat in the East. I disagree. I still think the Braves are the team to beat. Regular season wise, I mean, the Phillies caught fire. There's nothing you can say about it. That's what happened. They caught fire at the end of the season at the right time. They caught fire. The Mets shrank like they say on the Seinfeld episode. It was shrinkage. It was cold and wet. It was shrinkage. That's what happened. The Mets shrunk. The Phillies, were showers and growers, and the Braves were kind of buzzsawed. That's all you could say. I mean, even the Braves, they played decent at the end of the season. They didn't play great. The whole season from May 31st to almost the end of the season, the Braves were great. From April or the end of March, when the season started, up until basically halfway through August, the Mets were great. The Phillies got great right at the end of the season. They stuck around enough where they got that final. I think they got the final wild card spot or the second wild card spot, whatever it was. But they got a wild card spot, and they're able to carry that momentum right into the playoffs. And like I said, they're a buzzsaw, man. Absolutely, their pitching staff stepped up. Their bullpen, which was a weakness at the beginning of the season, stepped up. And they're hitting. Their bats were just insane. All the way through the National League playoffs. Now when they got to the World Series, minus a game or two, the bats weren't all that hot. But then again, the Houston Astros pitching staff is insane. Super excited. Pitchers and catchers reporting, and that just means that baseball's right around the corner. Opening, I think opening day is March 31st or March 30th or something like that. It's right around the corner. That means spring is right around the corner. You don't have to worry about the threat of snow and stuff like that. It's beautiful in Pennsylvania now, but it could turn just like that. We'll end up with a foot of snow. Then a day later, it's going to be 60 degrees again. And it's nuts. People getting sick, dogs and cats marrying. It's crazy. All right, so we'll move on. The dogs and cats moving in with each other. What the hell is that about? We'll move on to Mets in the World Baseball Classic. So there's the Mets. I don't know if they have the most players in the World Baseball Classic, but they certainly have a lot of players in playing in the World Baseball Classic. And I'll read off who they are. You got Pete Alonso playing for the USA, Adam Ottavino playing for the USA, Jeff McNeil playing for the USA, Brooks Raleigh has been reported to be playing for the USA, Francisco Lindor for Puerto Rico, Edwin Diaz for Puerto Rico. I seen some sites saying that Mark Vientos was going to be in spring training. I seen some reports saying Vientos is going to be playing for Nicaragua. So I don't know what the hell he's going to be doing, but there's a chance he could be playing for Nicaragua. Nicaragua. I can't say it, for another country. I just said it a second ago. Now I can't say it again. Nicaragua. There it is. See, I can do it. Eduardo Escobar, Omar Narvaez, both playing for Venezuela. Jose Quintana playing for Colombia. Michael Perez playing for Puerto Rico. A couple minor leaguers. Cameron Opp playing for Great Britain, and Claudio Scotti playing for Italy. I think I love the World Baseball Classics. It's a lot of fun to see all these different countries, almost like an Olympic type feel to it. I guess it's kind of like the World Cup for soccer. Maybe not quite as big. It's for the World Cup is huge for soccer. But I guess that's what they're looking for, baseball. They're looking to try to kind of have it like the World Cup is. And it's great. I like the competition. I like seeing different countries and stuff like that playing against each other. Different major leaguers going, playing for their home country or maybe not a country they were born in, but a country where they have ties to. Like for instance, I think who was it? I think it was oh man, was it Vientos? I think maybe. It doesn't come from Nicaragua, but he has Nicaraguan descent, so he's a descendant from there, or maybe his mom or dad was something like that. I don't know what the hell it was, but they do the same thing in the Olympics. Somebody might live in the USA or be American, but they grew up in Germany or something like that. They'll play for Germany. Then it's the same thing happens in the Olympics. So the one thing I don't like about the World Baseball Classic is the threat of injury, and to have that many players playing in the World Baseball Classic makes me extremely nervous. I mean, all it takes is a pulled hamstring. That shit lingers all season. I mean, it lingers. It's because this is happening during spring training. So these players are leaving their major league clubs to go play for their countries, and I mean, so they're not fully stretched out yet. They're not 100% baseball ready. They're not used to ramping it up that early, late. I guess early March is when it starts, somewhere around there. So early to mid March, and so there's always the threat of injury, which is scary. The pitchers, throwing extra innings like that. I mean, again, if they weren't playing the World Baseball Classic, they'd be playing in spring training games, but it seems like there's more pressure with the World Baseball Classic, so they're more likely to put more effort out than you would in spring training games. You're more likely maybe to play more innings than you would in a spring training game. More innings for pitchers. I mean, that could be good, that could be bad, especially young pitchers. It's it's a lot of hesitation. I know I read a couple articles with Buck Showalter saying he likes the World Baseball Classic, but he's nervous about it because of the injury aspect of it, and players just getting ramped up that early. They're not used to playing regular season baseball in early March or late February. Like I said, with spring training games, they're usually a little bit more laid back, a little bit more lax, play 2-3 innings or whatever. And then your backup comes in or a minor leaguer that's looking for some reps comes in. And, but that's not what's going to happen because you want to win. Your country wants to win. So you're going to be getting pushed a little bit harder. But yeah, so I like the World Baseball Classic, because it is neat, but a little bit nervous this time around. A lot of players. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players by my count. And again, I didn't do well in math, so my count doesn't mean shit. So we'll move on to Carlos Beltran being hired by the Mets as a special assistant to the GM. So if you remember back, I think it was 2001, maybe. I think it was 2001. Excuse me. I don't know if it's 2001, whatever it was. It doesn't matter. Beltran was hired to be the new manager, the new skipper of the Mets. And then that whole Houston Astros thing came down with the cheating scandals and stuff like that. And Beltran was on the team during those seasons, so he took a really hard hit. I don't know what his role in it was, but apparently he had a role in it. So rightfully so, he took a little bit of a hit for it. He lost his job before even doing anything. I don't know. I don't think he had the job long, maybe like a week or a month or something like that, before the Mets had to let him go. And I know the Mets weren't all that thrilled to having to let him go, but they had to let him go. I mean, there was no way around it. It was bad publicity, and where we were at that time, not rebuilding, but rebuilding. Trying to create a more positive atmosphere, positive vibe. You just didn't need that following your club around at that time, and so now they brought him back in a couple years later as a special assistant to the GM, and I heard I don't know if it was the Believe in Queens podcast or if it was the Mets podcast talking about the potential of Beltran taking over for Buck Showalter in a few years when Showalter decides to step away, which it makes a total sense to do something like that, to bring Beltran in, keep him around for 4 or 5 years. When Buck decides he's done, he walks away. You already have a guy in house as manager, and and the Mets were high on him. He's a smart dude, very baseball savvy, very baseball smart. So it wouldn't hurt to keep him around just for that reason. Get him used to different aspects of an organization, and then when it's time, give him the skipper job. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with what the end game is with Beltran, because he is very young. He's probably in his mid 40s, somewhere around there. My brother Rob checking in. What's up, Ken? Greetings from cold Las Vegas, 32 degrees right now. It's warmer here in Pennsylvania, Rob. That's insane. 32 degrees in Las Vegas, man. That's absolutely crazy. For those of you that don't know, Rob and I do a show every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, called the Vegas Sports Scene, where we talk Las Vegas sports. Of course, the Raiders back here, and plus the Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, the Vegas Lady Aces WNBA team, the Vegas Vipers XFL now in Las Vegas. So yeah, maybe we'll sprinkle a little bit of UNLV football in there, basketball, and amongst other things. So we talk about all sorts of things. And Rob's the mayor. Vegas Rob is the mayor of Las Vegas, soon to be. Eileen checking in says, "Good now. I don't have to listen to him on Yankee broadcast." Well, maybe someday in the future you might have to listen to him doing press conferences as the Mets manager, though, Eileen. Speaking of broadcast, I didn't have this as one of my topics, and I wanted to, but I forgot. Keith Hernandez signed a new 3-year deal with SNY, which is great. I love Keith Hernandez in the booth with Gary Cohen, and I can't think of the other guy's name now. I just lost it. Anyway, but yeah, Keith in the booth, fantastic insight, and so it's good to have him back for at least 3 years anyway. Because I know there was talks of him possibly going to the Yankees, for the Yes Network, and stuff like that, or anywhere else. He does a good job at it. Yeah, there it is. Ron Darling. Thank you, Eileen. Ron Darling. I could picture him in my head. Couldn't think of his freaking name. And again, this is your first time watching the show. I forget names all the time. I just draw blanks, and that's it. It drives me insane. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm glad they brought Keith Hernandez back. Mets do have the best TV booth, a very good TV booth. It's one of my favorites. Reminds me a lot when I was a kid watching Harry Callis with the Phillies, because being in Pennsylvania, being fairly close to Philadelphia, hour and 45, 2 hours away. So I get a lot of Phillies games, and so I heard a lot of Harry Kalas growing up, and he was always a lot of fun to hear. I loved hearing how Harry Kalas's voice, Mickey Morandini, and stuff like that. It was awesome. So it's going to be interesting over the next few years what they do with Beltran. Like I said, I agree with Wardy, the Queens Believe in Queens podcast and the Mets podcast, Mets Pod, I guess it's called. I do agree with them that I think eventually I could see them moving Beltran into the manager's position. So that's going to be all wait and see, because Buck's not done yet. Buck, it seems like Buck is Buck could go for another 5-10 years, so it's not going to be anytime soon. And as long as Buck's winning, it shouldn't be an issue. I'd like to see Buck get a World Series. That's what I want to see, because it seems like every team he goes to, he starts off really, really good. He turns the franchise around and just can't get over the hump with them. And either they end up winning a World Series after he leaves, or they fall to trash. Which the Orioles, he was able to turn the Orioles around for a couple of years, and then I think he had a bad season or 2 bad seasons. They got rid of him, and they're just in shambles now. They're kind of turning it around now. Same thing with the Diamondbacks. He was able to turn that organization around. I don't know if he was their original manager or not, but I think after he left or got fired, again, they won a World Series with Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling pitching. That was that year, and they beat the Yankees in Game 7. A terrific series. He was also with the Yankees. I guess he was the manager that started turning it around. Brought Jeter up, and then I guess the next year, I think the story goes Steinbrenner wanted him to fire his I don't remember if it was a hitting coach or bench coach or something like that, and Buck said no. I'm not going to do it. It's his loyalty to his coaches got him fired basically. So, and then they bring in Joe Torre. Oh man, I almost forgot his name too. They brought in Joe Torre, and the rest is history. That could have been Buck, but I mean, things happen for a reason. So we'll have to wait and see. So we'll move on from Beltran's hiring. The Mets commercial. I'm not sure if everybody watches Super Bowl out there. I'm sure lots of people watch the Super Bowl. Millions of people watch the Super Bowl. But if you're watching this show, I'm not sure if you watch the Super Bowl is what I'm getting at. I wanted to put a clip in for the Mets commercial. Kind of ran out of time with doing this at 10 a.m. I get done work at 6 a.m. and I come home getting the kids ready for school and all that stuff, and getting them off the buses and the young lad off to preschool. By the time I get home, it's already after 9 o'clock, and I just rushing around and trying to get ready for this, and I just didn't have time. But again, the Mets commercial during the Super Bowl. Kind of, I guess, selling tickets, and it was neat seeing all the guys in the commercial. Mr. Met, of course, Mr. Met. And you guys know my infatuation with Mrs. Met. All those beautiful curves on Mrs. Met. And he says, we give you a pass for forgetting things. Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate that. It just happens so often. And, to be 100% honest with you, Eileen, I thought about taking Alpha Brain. I don't know if you heard about it. Joe Rogan's always pushing it. He's a big drug pusher, and whether it's the weed or Alpha Brain, but he talks about it. It's supposed to help your your memory and stuff like that, and energy. And I just want it for the memory aspect. So I think I'm going to give it a shot, because it's really frustrating to know what you want to say. It just does not come the hell out. It drives me absolutely bananas. Like I said, Ron Darling, I could see him there. I looked up into the sky. I'm like, Ron Darling, what's your name? It's thank God for you, Eileen. It was really frustrating. And like I said, Joe Torre, I just almost forgot his name. I think last episode I was talking about, or last episode of the episode before, I was talking about pitchers. I couldn't remember Jose Quintana's name. He was a new pitcher he picked up from St. Louis. I could see him. I could see the St. Louis uniform. I'm like, what the hell? What's this guy's freaking name? I can't remember. And I wanted to say, I think Julio like Julio Smith or something. I'm like, that's not that. That doesn't even make any sense. Making names up is what I do. So I want to be a hell of a grandfather one day. I'll tell you that with all the forgetting. So I'll move on to my NL East rankings. Last episode, I did the NL East outfield rankings, and I had a lot of fun with that. So I figured I'll do the infield, and then next episode I'll probably do pitchers and catchers. I was debating on whether I should do starting pitchers and bullpen, or if I just rank them as a whole. Maybe pull a player, like a spotlight a player for each team. But we'll see what happens. We'll see which way the wind's blowing that day. Linda Duarte checking in. Good morning, Linda. How are you today? Linda checks into a lot of our shows, as well as Eileen checks into a lot of our shows now. It's great to see people checking in, and lets you know that they're watching, that they care. Thank you for caring, Linda. Thank you for caring, Eileen. Awesome. So the NL East rankings, the infield rankings. So what I do is I look at each position, and I go to MLB.com. I use their depth chart, and that's what I go by. And then sometimes their depth chart doesn't make sense to me, as I'll explain when I talk about the third baseman. But I use their depth chart, and then I'll compare stats and stuff like that. And I kind of know who's a better fielder, who's not a better fielder. But we'll wing it. So we'll start with third base. And number one, I'll start with number 5. How about that? I have Jaimir Candelario from Washington. Hit 217 last year, 13 home runs, 50 RBI, 633 OPS. Your OPS, which I'm starting to learn. I did talk about how I like on base percentage. I said that 100 times. How one of my favorite stats is on base percentage, but I believe OPS takes your on base percentage and your slugging percentage and kind of combines it. So I'm starting to learn to like that. So it gives you a pretty good insight to a player's hitting abilities. So Jaimir Candelario from Washington hit 217 last year, 13 home runs, 50 RBI. A 633 OPS and a .6 WAR. So he's our number 5. And this is where I didn't understand. They have him listed playing for the Marlins at third base. Now he's with the Phillies. He played primarily second base. He was in and out of lineup, and I don't remember him playing third base at all because he had Alec Boehm there. But MLB has him listed as on the depth chart as the top third baseman for the Marlins. So that's who we got here. So number 4, I had Gene Segura. He had 277 last year, 10 home runs, 33 RBI, 723 OPS, and a 1.8 WAR. He had a pretty decent season last year. He was hurt for a good bit. And like I said, just in and out, he hit in situations. He played in different situations and stuff. So he wasn't a regular starter last year, I don't believe. Number 3, Eduardo Escobar. And so when I look at the depth chart on MLB again, they had Luis Guillorme at starting third, which I don't think that's correct. I think it's going to be Escobar, then Brett Beatty. But I picked Escobar because that's who played third base for us last year. It wasn't Guillorme, who did fill in a little bit. But Eduardo Escobar hit 240. 20 home runs, 69 RBI, a 726 OPS, and a 1.2 WAR. Like I said, I said it quite a few shows. Near the end of the season, he really started coming on strong for us, whereas a lot of the season he struggled, as you can tell by his average. I went over his numbers a few episodes ago and how they've been steadily declining year after year after year. So that's why I have him third. I thought about putting him 4th and moving Segura up, but it's a Mets podcast, so I'm a homer, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. But I do expect Brett Beatty to take that position over this season. Maybe at the halfway point, see what Escobar is doing and go from there. At number 2, I have Alec Boehm from the Phillies. He hit 280, 13 home runs, 72 RBI, 713 OPS, and a .8 WAR. He really struggled in the field early on last year. And so it hurt him. I think it hurt him at the plate. But as the season progressed, he got better and better in the field because he is a decent fielder, as I seen the year before. And again, being in Pennsylvania, I get a lot of Phillies games, most of the Phillies games. So I do watch a good bit of Phillies baseball. My daughter's a Phillies fan and stuff like that. So he is a decent fielder. And so, like I said, as the season progressed, you could see him getting better and better and better. And he played well in the playoffs. At the plate, he's a very strong hitter. I expect his power numbers to go up this season. As he gets older, he gets stronger and stuff like that. And he kills the Mets. And number one from the Braves, it makes me want to throw up, Austin Riley, 273, 38 home runs, 93 RBI, an 878 OPS, and a 6.5 WAR. There's another guy just absolutely killed the Mets last year. Austin Riley just killed the Mets. I mean, if he played the Mets every game, he'd break every Barry Bonds record there is. He'd break his home run record. He'd break his walks record, and it'd be a nightmare if the Mets had to face him every day. So that's what I have for third base: Austin Riley, Alec Boehm, Eduardo Escobar, Gene Segura, and Jaimir Candelario. So now we'll move on to shortstop, which was very hard, especially for the top two guys. And so I'll start off at 5 again. 5, we have C.J. Abrams from Washington. Hit 246, 2 home runs, 21 RBI, 604 OPS, and a .1 WAR. Then we have at number 4, Joey Wendell from Miami. Hit 259, 3 home runs, 32 RBI, 658 OPS, and a 2.4 WAR. Number 3, Vaughn Grissom. Didn't get a lot of playing time. I'm expecting him to be lights out this year as he's taken over at shortstop for the Braves. But so last year he didn't get a whole lot of playing time. But the little playing time he did get, he played very well. So I put him at 3. I put him over Joey Wendell, even though last year's stats, if you look at that alone, Joey Wendell was hands above better than what Vaughn Grissom is. But I expect bigger things out of Vaughn Grissom this year. He had 291, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs, a 792 OPS, and a .8 WAR. And this is where I had a really hard time. Again, being a Mets fan, I don't want to be a homer, but it's hard not to be a homer sometimes because it's your team. You know what I mean? It's a Mets show. I'm a Mets fan, and it's very hard to take the blinders off. But I did. Number 2, I have Francisco Lindor, hit 270, 26 RBI, or 26 home run, 107 RBI, a 788 OPS, and a 5.4 WAR. And at the top, the Phillies' Trey Turner. And now that I get to compare the stats, it's like why is Trey Turner, looked on as so much better than every other shortstop? I mean, Francisco Lindor basically is his equal almost. I mean, so Trey Turner's batting average was 298, home runs 21, RBIs 100, 809 OPS, and a 4.9 WAR. So if you just look at these stats, Turner has him in the batting average by 28 points. Lindor has him by 5 home runs and 7 RBIs. The OPS goes to Trey Turner by looks like 21 points or 20 points maybe, 21 points, and then the WAR goes to Lindor. So it's like it's tit for tat there, tit for tat. It goes back and forth as to who the better offensive player is. Defensively, Trey Turner is excellent. Lindor's excellent. So that's a wash right there. And you look at stolen bases. Trey Turner was a 2020 guy last year. I think he had 24, 26 stolen bases last year, somewhere in that range. Whereas Lindor had, I think, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. So that goes to Turner, but Lindor is not that far off. He doesn't steal much, which I would expect to change a little bit with the bigger bases coming in. And So it's going to be interesting watching these shortstops play in this division this year. Like I said, Vaughn Grissom potentially, I expect bigger things out of him, and then Lindor and Turner. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Paul says just flying at 110 on the turnpike and saying hello. What's up, BatFrie? What's up, Paul? Don't text and drive. Oh, for the love of Christ, 110. I couldn't imagine that fine. Oh, Lord. Don't text and drive. Hopefully your wife is with you and she's the one texting that message. So we'll move on to second base. This was a little bit easier for me. Number 5, we have Luis Garcia, again at Washington, at the bottom of the list pretty much every time here. Paul says he's not driving, he's flying. You're like the Doc Brown here from Back to the Future in your DeLorean. Where we're going, we don't need wheels, or whatever the hell he says. Something like that. I don't know. It's something like that. Second baseman 5, we have Luis Garcia from Washington, hit 275, 7 home run, 45 RBI, a 704 OPS, and a 0.1 WAR. Number 4, Ozzie Albies from the Braves, 247 average, 8 home runs, 35 RBI, a 703 OPS, a 0.9 WAR. Like those two guys are pretty much in my eyes interchangeable offensively. Ozzie Albies, I think has a little bit more experience than what Luis Garcia does, so that's kind of why I put him ahead. Number 3, Bryson Stott from the Phillies, hit 234, 10 home run, 49 RBI, 653 OPS, and a 1.3 WAR. Now with Gene Segura not there anymore, you expect Bryson Stott to get a good bit more playing time, and I expect those numbers to come up a little bit. Number 2, I have Luis Arias, Miami. Miami, he's a new addition to Marlins. He had 316, 8 home runs, 49 RBI, 795 OPS, and a 4.4 WAR. A very, very good player. Then number 1, you have Jeff McNeil, your batting champ, Silver Slugger Award winner, choke up artist. I love watching that man bat. The way he holds that bat, that leg of it, it looks like a leg off of the kitchen table. It's such a weird looking thing. He had 326, 9 home runs, 62 RBI, 836 OPS, and a 5.7 WAR. And with him, I see potential those numbers going up also without the shift. I mean, he beat the shift so many times last season, either with bloops over the shift or just hitting opposite field. It's such great back control, which is why you choke up is to get better back control. And it's he was the personification of back control, of choking up. It was an awesome thing. You don't see it much anymore, but it's an art that Jeff McNeil's bringing back. So finally, we'll go to the first baseman. Number 5, again, Washington. I think I haven't bought him for every position. Washington's going to be crap. Number 5, I have Dom Smith from the Mets, from Washington. He was a Met last year. Then he was sent down to the minors and then ultimately released after the season. But last year he hit 194, no home runs, 17 RBI, 560 OPS, and a negative 0.4 WAR. He struggled so much, and I think it's going to be beneficial for Dom at Washington because he's going to get everyday playing time. At least he should. And that's just going to help. Reps are going to help that guy because the season before he's double-digit home runs. He's producing very well, coming up in big spots, and so it's only going to be beneficial for him to play with a team like Washington. He's not going to get a lot of wins with Washington. They're not going to be in the playoffs, and they're not going to be in the World Series. But at that playing time, could help him land in a different spot in a year or two because he's a young dude. And so I think it's going to really, really benefit him, and I would expect him to be much better than what I'm ranking him at now. Nicole and Jerry McCabe, I'm sure it's my buddy Jerry, says, hello, Kenny, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne, the Dark Knight, the trash train man, hauler of dressers and fridges. That's me right here, buddy, in a nutshell. No, this is me in a nutshell. Hey, how did I get in this nutshell? Get me out of this nutshell. Austin Powers reference if you're not understanding. Hello, Jerry. So at number 5, I have Dom Smith. Number 4, I have Garrett Cooper from the Marlins. 261, 9 home runs, 50 RBI, 752 OPS, and a 1.0 WAR. Another young guy for these teams. It's the Nationals and the Marlins filled with young talent. The guys that like right now, numbers wise, doesn't look great, but maybe in a couple of years, start building towards something. So in a few years, it's going to be interesting to see where the Marlins and the Nationals are. Number 3, I have Rhys Hoskins from the Phillies. He hit 246 last year, 30 home runs, 79 RBI, 794 OPS, and a 2.9 WAR. We all know about Rhys Hoskins, his struggles in the field, and struggles in the field in the playoffs. But we know he does have a big bat. The dude carries a big stick, and I was fortunate enough to see him play in Reading for the Reading Fighting Phillies, the Phillies AA affiliate, which is right down the road from me. And he's a hell of a hitter. Just needs to get that fielding down. He strikes out a good bit also, but when you're hitting 30 home runs, I mean that happens. You're swinging for the fences. You're going to strike out a lot. Number 2, Matt Olson from the Braves, hit 240, 34 home run, 103 RBI, 802 OPS, 3.3 WAR, and a certified Met killer again from the Braves. He's another guy that just slaughtered us, especially in that final series where I think the Braves might have been 2 games behind us, and by the time the series was over, they swept us, and they're I think a game or 2 up on us. And Matt Olson was one of the big sticks that just absolutely drubbed us into the ground. It was a thing of nightmares, is what it was. It was something I tossed and turned in my sleep, and I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, there's that man again. It's terrible. Number 1, I have the polar bear, Pete Alonso, 271 average, 40 home runs, 131 RBI, 869 OPS, and a 4.4 WAR. The only issue I have with Big Pete, like for a power hitter, a great average, 271, produces at the plate, 40 home run, 131 RBI, 869 OPS. The dude gets on base. He goes in stretches where he just strikes out a lot. And he strikes out a lot in big situations, and it's really frustrating as a Mets fan to see that. But you kind of take the good with the bad with power hitters, and like I said, he especially in the beginning of the season, he was making a lot of contact and a lot of good contact. Just like taking the balls the opposite way or just finding holes and stuff like that. Not going up there looking to crush the ball. He had a nice short compact swing. It seemed like later in the season it kind of opened up on him a little bit. So hopefully he corrects that and keeps it short and compact, because the dude is a strong man and he doesn't need that huge long swing, which leads to less control. That short compact swing, maybe even choke, pull some Jeff McNeil on that, choke it up a little bit. The big man's going to be okay. And he's gonna benefit from the no shift there. So that's gonna be another thing that should drive up that average, maybe even that RBI a little bit. So again, those are my rankings. Again, I'll the third base, number 1 was Austin Riley. Shortstop, number 1, Trey Turner. Second base, number 1 was Jeff McNeil, and first base, number 1 was the polar bear, Pete Alonso. So that's what I got for that. And pretty much what I got for the Mets right now. Hopefully I have more to talk about next week as the rest of the roster shows up for spring training. We start working out. Games will start, like I said, in a couple of weeks. I think the 25th. I thought I saw it say on the old interwebs. And we all know the interwebs don't lie. So I got to take a little sippy sip here. Mouth is getting dry. We'll move on to a little bit of hockey. The LA Kings, just coming off of the All-Star break, which the LA Kings had a pretty good first half. Penalty killing was kind of down. They're pretty decent on the power play. Nobody really stood out as an ultimate goal scorer. Adrian Kempe, near the end of the first half, was kind of starting to score on a more regular basis. Kevin Fiala was outstanding. He was our All-Star this year. Phoenix Copley was a huge standout. With the issues with Cal Peterson and Jonathan Quick, beginning of the season at goalie, it's if it's just those two guys still, the Kings would not be in a position they'd be at. With Phoenix Copley stepping in after they designated Cal Peterson for assignment, and then they brought Phoenix Copley up. When they did that, that kind of steadied their goaltending a little bit. He was winning games. I think he's won the most games since being called up, and his save percentage wasn't great, but he was still winning these games, still keeping the goals against fairly low to two. I think two like somewhere between 2 and 3 goals. And it seems like his last couple starts, he seems to be getting better and better. So coming into the second half, they started off with against the Penguins. Penguins, they're in the playoff hunt there in the East. A fairly decent team. And the Kings came in. The Penguins came into the Kings, I believe, and Kings took took control of it, and they won 6-0. Kempe had 4 goals, so he ended up with the hat trick. Kopitar had 3 assists. Phoenix Copley got his first shutout, 25 saves. Iafallo, he had a goal, his 8th of the season. Anderson Dolan, he had a goal also, his 7th of the season. So it was great to see the Kings start off with I believe that's their first shutout this season. But it's, like I said, it's also Phoenix Copley's first shutout for the season for the Kings. That was great to see. A huge confidence booster for him. Again, he didn't really need it. He's won a lot of games so far this year, but it's nice to see the shutout. So then they played, I think it was 2 days ago, against the Buffalo Sabres, which the Sabres absolutely throttled them in Buffalo. Going back a few weeks ago, I think that's like a 6-0 game, and I think most of those goals were scored in the third period. I think 4. I don't know if it was 4 or 5 goals in the third period. It was bad. But this time the Kings 5-2, 4 goals in the second period. It was a 0-0 game going into the second, and the Kings were basically outplayed that game. I was able to watch most of it. No, actually, I was able to listen to most of it, and the Kings were basically outplayed that game. But it's the proof is in the pudding there. The scoreboard shows you right there. It's 5-2. It does it's you could be dominated, but if you're winning, it doesn't really matter. Arvidsson had 3 points that game, 1 goal, 2 assists, his 14th goal of the season. Philip Denault had 3 points, which 3 assists. Kempe had another goal and plus an assist, so he's up to 27 goals now this season. I think he scored three straight games with goals. I think he's up to 5 or 6 games in a row with at least a point. Kaliev had a goal. Walker had a goal. Roy had a goal. And again, Phoenix Copley had 27 saves, bringing his win-loss record up to 17-3-1, 274 goals against average. And his save percentage is up over 900 now, which is great, 903, and plus that 1 shutout. So it's a nice start to the second half of the season here for the Kings. Hopefully they can continue it the next time they play is on the 17th. I'm not sure who they play against. I'd have to look that up again. I want to say Minnesota, but I don't think it is. I don't know. I think it's Minnesota. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's the 17th. Today's not the 17th. Today's the 15th, so they play in a couple days. The standings right now in the Pacific, you have the Golden Knights, who, again, like I said earlier, I do the Vegas sports scene with Vegas Rob. We do talk some Golden Knights hockey. Right now in the Pacific, the Golden Knights are on first, 32, 18, and 4 with 68 points. And you have the Kings following behind them, 30, 18, and 7 with 67 points. And the Seattle Kraken, 30 wins, 18 losses, and 6 overtime losses for 66 points. And then the Edmonton Oilers following them with a record of 30, 19, and 5 and 65 points. And if you look at the West as a whole, you have Dallas in first at 30, 14, and 11 with 71 points. Dallas, a very good team. You know, the Kings, I think they played them 3 times and they're 1-2 against them, or they played them twice and they're 1-1. I'm not sure offhand. So you have Dallas 30, 14, 11, 71 points. Winnipeg Jets 34, 19, and 1 with 69 points. Then you have the Golden Knights 32, 18, and 4, 68 points. The Kings are in 4th place right now in the West, 30, 18, and 7, 67 points. Then you have Seattle Kraken 30, 18, and 6 with 66 points. And you have Edmonton Oilers 30, 19, and 5 at 65 points. And there's a couple teams after that tied for the last 2 playoff spots with 61 points. I had Calgary, Minnesota, and I'm not sure who else. But the one thing that really impressed me over those last 2 games were the Kings' penalty killing. I guess the Sabres, they had quite a few penalties, and they did it. I think there was like 2 or 3 penalty kills in a row where the Sabres didn't get a shot, which is awesome. I mean, that's easy work for Phoenix right there, for Phoenix Copley. And they did give up a power play goal, but I think it was like 1 for 6 or something like that, or 1 for 6, 1 for 7 maybe. So they did a hell of a job with their penalty killing. And I feel like they had a shorthanded goal also, or they had a power play goal against Buffalo. I didn't write it down, so I don't remember. So that's what I have for the Kings right now. And like I said, as the season goes on, as it gets to the Stanley Cup playoff time, I'll probably go every week. That'll be during baseball season anyway, so I'd like to go every week then. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. So off of sports a little bit, we'll talk about comic books. Maybe not comic book movies. DC just unveiled their new movie /TV show slate the other day. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Some of the stuff I never even heard of. I'm going to read the list off to you. See what you guys think. Jerry says, yeah, Jerry. So for this year, for 2023, we have 4 DC movies coming out. You have Shazam, Fury of the Gods coming out. I'm not sure when that's coming out. I want to say April or May. Then you have the Flash movie, which I'm freaking excited for. If you had to see that. If you watch the Super Bowl, you've seen a trailer for it. Of course, it's called the Batcave. My show's the Batcave. I call myself the BatFrie. I like the Batman. So that's just, it is what it is. I mean, we got one of my several masks. There it is right here. I have a couple of them. And I'm a Batman guy. So seeing Michael Keaton, donning the cowl again, and a Batfleck in there, Ben Affleck. Yeah, it's really exciting. Good stuff. And I of course, I read the Flashpoint series in the comic books. And so this is going to be I won't say totally different, but it's going to be different than what this movie is going to be different than what the comic book is. There's going to be some similarities, but I think it's going to be mostly different. I guess that this movie is supposed to reset the DC cinematic universe. For those of you that don't follow all this nerd crap, basically they're starting all over again. James Gunn has taken over DC and the DC cinematic universe basically, and he's hitting the reset button. So it's gonna be a whole most of it's going to be whole new actors and whole new shows and movies that you thought were being released are not being released. So it sucks because, again, I was watching Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League, which is fantastic. If you've seen the regular Justice League, that's garbage. You watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, all 4 hours of it, that's fantastic. And I wish they could, finish telling that story just to see, they had the bonus clip at the end where they had, who was a Batman, who was with him? He had the Joker with him. I think he had was it Slade Wilson, Deadshot with him, I think. But anyway, it turns out I think Joker killed Lois Lane. Superman freaks out, and now he's kind of working for Darkseid, and he's working for Darkseid, and just like the place is like Mad Max. It's freaking it's insane. Like it's it's not good for mankind, and they're trying to figure out a way to beat him, to beat Superman. It's basically that's what it comes down to, and we're never going to see that, though. We're never going to see that movie. We're not going to see Darkseid turn Superman or see Joker kill Lois Lane or whatever, because they decided to scrap all that crap. So Dan checking in, saying Snyder's version is great. I love Snyder's version. Absolutely love it. So again, 2023 after Flash. Flash is in June. Then you have the Blue Beetle, which is going to be interesting. Some of the comics I've read had the Blue Beetle in it. Seems like a pretty neat character. I haven't seen a whole lot of it, so I don't know his whole backstory. But then you'll get the Aquaman 2 later in the year. And I don't know if they're going to continue with Momoa as Aquaman or not. A lot of that stuff I don't know. I know there will be a new Superman and a different Batman for the cinematic universe. Now, the Batman, Robert Pattinson, he's what they call Elseworlds movies, meaning it doesn't take place within the cinematic universe that they tell connected stories like Marvel does with the Avengers and stuff like that. That's a standalone Batman movie, has nothing to do with all the other stuff. So you'll still have Robert Pattinson as Batman for those movies. But then you'll also have a new Batman for in the cinematic universe. So it's going to be all crazy. But more Batman. That's all I ask for. More Batman. So here's the list of the movies that they and shows that they released. You'll have Superman Legacy, which I believe is the James Gunn version of Superman, which is going to be a younger Superman. Which is why one of the reasons why they got rid of Henry Cavill, who did a great job as Superman. I thought Man of Steel was pretty good. Then a show called The Authority. I know nothing about this. I haven't seen it in any comics, but there are comics out there about it. The Brave and the Bold, which is Batman and Robin, but I think it's from like the 30s and 40s, and there was also an animated series in the 80s and 90s or something like that. I know I've seen the animated series, a couple episodes of The Brave and Bold. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Then you'll have a Swamp Thing television series on HBO Max. Creature Commandos, which is animation series. Then you'll have a TV series called Waller, who is the crazy ass lady in the Suicide Squad. I was trying to think of a better way to say it. She's basically a bitch. She's angry all the time. But I don't want to say that. Yeah, because I like her character. But it's a TV series about her. Booster Gold TV series. He's a funny character in the comic books. I have a couple books with him in it, and he does basically comic relief. Another show called Lanterns. I think it's a show. I don't think it's a movie, called Lanterns, where they talk about the Green Lanterns and stuff. Paradise Lost, which is going to be a TV series based off of Wonder Woman or the Mascaria or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's going to be Amazon based, I should say. Gods and Monsters. Then, of course, in 2025, you'll have the Batman 2, the Robert Pattinson Batman, and then Joker 2, Joker Folie Adieu in 2024, where you have Joaquin Phoenix coming back as Joker, and you'll have Lady Gaga. Oh, I almost forgot Lady Gaga's name. I'm thinking Poker Face, Poker Face. I couldn't think of her goddamn name. So that's going to be interesting. The Joker movie is going to be interesting because I guess it's going to be what the hell do you call it? Like a lot of singing in the movie. So that's going to be interesting. It is what it is. So that's the slate so far. The DC movies. I'm excited that they refreshed it a little bit, but I'm very bummed that the Snyderverse wasn't able to be played out fully. And I wasn't too excited, that they scrapped the Batgirl movie as it was done, but they went ahead and they scrapped it. They're not going to release it. They said it'll never see the light of day. They said it wasn't good. So I say you release it and let it be what it is. I mean, if it's not good, then it's not good. Whatever. Wait 5 years and reboot it again. That's what they seem to do in Hollywood anyway. If something's not good, wait a few years, try it again. So we'll move on to my final topic, my top 10 list. I do it every episode. I do a top 10 list. Some of it sports related, whether it's baseball or football. Some of it movie related. I've done comic movies, Marvel, DC. I've done top 10 lists on that stuff. I've done top 10 lists on breakfast cereal, for crying out loud. But this time we're going to go sports. I'm going to do top 10 first baseman all time, in my opinion. So what I did is I went through a list of the top 100 first basemen. And of course, I scrolled up near the top because, whatever. So I'm basically looking at the top 20. I kind of figured I thought this guy should be higher. This guy should be higher. Basically, that's how I did it. Who I thought was better than what they had ranked. So this is my own opinion. Let me know who you think should be number 1 or number 10, or if I say something that you think is too high or too low, shoot it out there. And if you have any ideas for a top 10 list, let me know, because sometimes I struggle thinking of this stuff, thinking of new topics. So here we go. We'll start off at number 10, of course. Number 10, I have Eddie Murray. I loved Eddie Murray growing up. Super quiet dude, did his job. He doesn't get a whole lot of credit. You don't hear Eddie Murray's name mentioned with all-time greats. But yeah, he had 504 home runs, 287. Played for the Orioles and the Mets, and then played for a couple other teams also, but those are the main ones. So yeah, he's like the quiet assassin. He doesn't get a lot of credit, but he's a hell of a ball player. Hank Greenberg, I hear his name mentioned all the time as being an all-time great. Played for Detroit. He had 331 home runs, a 313 average. And this guy doesn't get enough credit. Keith Hernandez, offensively, not great at all, but defensively, one of the best ever. And so my thought is, Ozzie Smith is in the Hall of Fame, and he wasn't a great offensive player at all. And it's basically he's in because of his defense. Well, why not Keith Hernandez? I mean, from everything that I've read and heard, he's one of the great first basemen of his time. Throughout the 80s and stuff like that, and early 90s, and he should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Offensively, okay, he's not there, but defensively, from everything I've heard, again, with my age, I didn't get to see a whole lot of Keith Hernandez, so basically it's all off of like either video or interviews that I've seen or articles that I've read. So from everything I read, he was a hell of a baseball player, but he played for St. Louis and the Mets. Number 7, Todd Helton. I kind of struggled putting Todd Helton this high because he did play for Colorado, and that kind of helps his offensive numbers. But he was a pretty good defensive first baseman. He had 369. He had 369 home runs and a 316 average. But again, you have to wonder how much of that is Colorado assisted. but still, there was no ands or buts about it. He was a hell of a ball player. Number 6, the man's final season is this season coming up. Miguel Cabrera played for the Marlins and mostly the Tigers. 507 home runs, 308 average. This past season, I think he might have been hurt a good bit, but it's really struggled this year. So this will be his last season. At number 5, I have Willie McCovey. And if you're a baseball fan, you heard that name McCovey because of McCovey Cove at the New York Giants Stadium. You have that water out there. They call it McCovey Cove. McCovey Cove. God damn it. Can't talk. He had 521 home runs, 270 average, and again, played for the Giants. So that's why you would name a cove after the man, because he played for your team. If you played for another team and you named a cove after him, that'd be asinine. Number 4, I have the big hurt. Frank Thomas, 521 home runs, 301 average. Played his career for the White Sox. I think his whole career with the White Sox, and that's like the peak baseball time for me. The mid '90s. Big Hurt. Ken Griffey Jr. Guys like that. Frank Thomas was awesome. He hit for average, absolutely hit for power. Just a big old dude. And a hell of a power hitter. Number 3, I have Jimmy Fox. Again, and that's another name that I've heard throughout my whole life as a baseball fan, as to how great Jimmy Fox was. 534 home runs, 325 average. He played most of his career with the Philadelphia Athletics, so that's how long ago that is, a long time ago. And he played a little bit with the Boston Red Sox. Number 2 was the man that just retired, Albert Pujols. 703 home runs, 296 average. Played with the Cardinals and the Angels and a little bit with the Dodgers, but he'll forever be known as a Cardinal, in my opinion. Had an absolutely terrific career. It's insane to think that he retired after the season he just had. Power wise, hitting 20 plus home runs, and the way he finished the season off, he was on a tear. As soon as they started giving him more at bats, he started smashing the ball again. So it's sad to see him go, but 700 club, good for him. Then number 1, I have Lou Gehrig. 493 home runs, a 340 average. Played with the Yankees, and we all know the name. So Lou Gehrig's disease. Kind of cut it short. It says his career shortened a little bit. By a couple seasons, so those numbers, could be a little bit higher. But one of the great all-time Yankees. It's many of the all-time great Yankees back in the day. Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle. So that's my top 10 first baseman. Eddie Murray, Hank Greenberg, Keith Hernandez, Todd Helton, Miguel Cabrera, Willie McCovey, Frank Thomas, Jimmy Fox, Albert Pujols, and Lou Gehrig. I just want to remind everybody to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube. And if you're on Twitch, go ahead on there and follow us on there. Subscribe to our channel there. Twitter, the old Twitter machine. Get on there, follow us. Catch our content on there. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe. We have Stacy Northup checking in. Hello, Stacy. She does the Big Blue Power Hour on Friday nights, talking New York Giants football. Giants, again, that whole NL East, awesome. Too bad the Eagles came up short. Rob and I kind of talked about it at Las Vegas on the Las Vegas sports scene, that the NL East is what the AFC West was supposed to be. Everybody was saying how great the AFC West was going to be this season, with all those great quarterbacks, Patty Mahomes and Derek Carr and the lad with the hair in the former San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson. Let's ride, Bronco country. Everybody thought the AFC West was going to be balls to the wall, awesome. No, it was not. The Chargers were okay. The Broncos were terrible. The Raiders stunk. The Chiefs were good. And then you go look at the NFC East, and that's what the NFC West was supposed to be. All the teams in playoff contention up to the end. 3 of the 4 teams made it. They all made noise. Cowboys had a hell of a season. The Giants had a hell of a season. So, no, not Trevor Lawrence. He plays for the Jaguars. I was talking about Justin Herbert. His hair isn't as long as Trevor Lawrence. So, but it's longer. It's almost shoulder length, I think. He's like a surfer dude looking kind of haircut. So yeah, but in the end, the AFC West comes home with the trophy. So, and I'll tell you, I can't root for a team from the AFC West unless it's the Raiders. The Chiefs make the Super Bowl great. I like Andy Reid, but I can't root for the Chiefs. I can't do it. Any other AFC team except for like the Patriots, I would root for, but nobody in the AFC West, I can't root for them. So I was rooting for the Eagles. My daughter's an Eagles fan. Lots of my friends, other family members, Eagles fans. And it is what it is. So can't really say the Chiefs were the better team that day. They just finished stronger in that game. The Eagles played good enough to win, but they couldn't finish it. And in my opinion, you can't go off of that call by the referee. That call was BS. Obviously there was a hold, but it was so small, so insignificant. It never should have, in my opinion, shouldn't have been called in that situation. But again, one play does not make a game. There were so many other opportunities in that game. Like you look at the Jalen Hurts lost fumble, in the first half. And other opportunities where drives stalled, or the running game sucked. It's so the defensive line didn't get any pressure on the Chief offense. So many different things. It doesn't come down to that one penalty, that one call, but it does hurt. So it was a call that I don't think should have been called. But what do I care? It wasn't the Raiders. I don't think that the fumble against the Patriots should have been called. They called the tuck rule. That was a fumble. It was a fumble. So, oh man, Jerry, I'm telling you what. When I seen that, I looked at my daughter. I go, "What the hell was that?" All right. So this is a baseball show, but I'm the BatFrie. BatFrie talks about what BatFrie wants to talk about. I'm going to talk about this. The dude drops back 10 steps. He's standing back there waiting. He's like getting all his power in his arm. He's really, oh yeah, I'm going to feel it. He takes a bunch of steps forward. There's a little bit of pressure coming upfield now, and he throws a line drive into the ground. So what the hell was that? It went 30 yards. Like the dude could throw farther than that. I've seen him with Alabama throw farther than that. In that game, we've seen him throw farther than that. I don't know what the hell that was. That was sad. That was one of the saddest attempts at a Hail Mary. They would have been better off running the old hook and ladder. That was bad. That was really bad. Jerry, I agree with you 150,000%. And like I said, I looked at my daughter. Not only that penalty was terrible, but that Hail Mary pass, I mean, throw it up in the air at least. Even if it goes 30 yards like that line drive did, just throw it the hell straight up in the air and let it come down. At least it looked like you did something with it. DXS1 Baseball. Insane, bro. I'm a Raiders fan and a Mets fan for life. Hell yeah, for life, buddy. Let's fucking go Mets. Raider Nation for life. Oh, man, you got to check out all of our shows. Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Myself and another Rob Hefner, Vegas Rob, we do a Las Vegas sports scene show where we talk about the Raiders, the Vegas Golden Knights, and other Vegas sports. But it's of course Raider heavy, especially we can finally stop talking about Derek Carr coming up. As much as I love Derek Carr, Rob also a big Derek Carr fan. It's time to move on, and thankfully we can. It's going to be interesting. Excellent, awesome. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do at quarterback position. I said maybe just start Stidham for a season, draft a quarterback near the top of the draft, see what you can get, and go from there. I mean, if they end up trading for Aaron Rodgers, so be it. That's just going to be a short-term stopgap. Hopefully they don't give up this year's first-round draft pick. If they do, hopefully they don't give up next year's first-round draft pick. But I would not give up a first-round draft pick for Aaron Rodgers. At his stage of his career, 39 years old, no way I give up a first-round draft pick. Second, third, fourth, whatever. Maybe a player, but no way should be a first for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers 3 years ago, all right, you get 5 good years out of that. Yeah, I would take that, but let's sit him, or even look. I don't want to say, maybe even look at Jimmy Garoppolo. It makes me cringe, but there's other options. I like Rodgers, but not right now. Every year it's I don't know if I'm going to play again. That shit you don't need. You don't need that. It's just it's a headache. Somebody that has to go into the darkness for a bunch of days, into a small hut or whatever the hell he's at, with no windows, or windows are blocked out or whatever, to kind of figure out if he wants to play football again. I don't need that guy around much. No, Eileen. No. He's going to be available. He's going to be available for the whole season. No. He's going to be a backup quarterback. I don't see a future for Zach Wilson as a starting quarterback. Maybe he'll turn it around, but I just don't see it. Not at all. All right, I'm going to play our sponsor and lineup show. A lot of great shows here on Out of the Box Sports Network. We got a little bit of something for everybody. And if anybody's out there interested in doing a podcast, or even jumping on with somebody for a podcast, like if you want, earlier we had a commenter, I think his name was Dan, saying he's a Braves fan. He'd like to jump on with me and talk NL East baseball during the season. Absolutely, reach out to us. Let us know what your ideas are, and we could definitely try to work something out. So here's our sponsor and lineup video. It's about a minute long, so enjoy. There we go. Excellent stuff there. Again, that's all of our shows and sponsors as of right now. We have some new stuff coming up real soon. Joystick Junkies, a gaming show coming up soon. We're going to have a Washington Redskins show coming up. NFC East roundtable show coming up. So always stay tuned to Out of the Box Sports to see what shows are going to be on this week. Because with football being in the off season now, some of the shows are going every other week or whatever, or taking a couple weeks off to recoup, and lick their wounds. I'm tired. I'll tell you, working night shift's kind of rough when I do this, but I love doing this. I do this every day if I could. And one more thing before I head out. The last comment, Jerry says, "Let's go Pirates." Hey, there you go, Jerry. The only Pirates fan in existence. Now they're out there. I've seen Damar Hamlin with the pirate symbol on his neck. I've seen Damar Hamlin with no pirate symbol on his neck. I said, what are you going to do? I don't know. Damar Hamlin with his tattoos on his hand? No tattoos on his hand. Who knows? Is he dead? Is he alive? I don't know. Whatever. What's the NFL hiding? What are they not hiding? I don't know. but yeah, I read every comment they put up there. So I'll read it online. I'll read it live. I'll give you a shout out. Unless it's nonsense. If it's funny nonsense, I'll still do it. But if it's nonsense where you're just trolling me or trolling the network, I'm not going to do it. Unless it's funny. If it's funny, you know what? In the name of comedy, I'll read pretty much anything. So that's it for me, guys. I thank everybody for checking in. I appreciate it very much, and not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after. So every other Wednesday, check me out again. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you later.